Hey guys, Mike Perlman here for Techno Buffalo, and you may be asking yourselves, what am I doing with the Samsung WB150F digital camera and the Samsung Galaxy S2? Find out after this awesome intro. So this is my review of the Samsung WB150F. This is Samsung's $230 point-and-shoot camera fortified with Wi-Fi. It belongs to Samsung's family of smart cameras, cameras that do the thinking themselves. However, I had to do a lot of thinking for this camera, but we'll get to that in this review. But for now, we'll kick things off with design. Aside from the WB150F's snazzy matte black finish, its pronounced right-hand grip, and its independent video record button, there's really not much that separates this camera from a traditional point-and-shoot design. We have a 4-way directional pad on back, there's a 3-inch 460K display, and I gotta be honest, the quality of the display is not that great. It's pixelated and exhibits jaggies on edges. The one big benefit though of this camera is its 18x optical zoom. However, the f3.2 base aperture is not that impressive when you compare it to brighter lenses. Now as for features, the WB150F is packed to the brim for the average consumer. This camera has so many different modes, and we'll start with the more advanced modes. There's a full manual mode with a shutter speed that goes down to 16 seconds for longer exposures. There's an ISO range that goes up to 3200, and we have aperture adjustment as well. Exposure compensation, the whole 9 yards, and we have a regular PASM assembly. Now if you're more of a scene mode shooter and you like fun creative effects, this camera has you covered. Aside from a slew of scene modes including a panorama sweep mode, there's also a library of different fun creative effects and filters. Things like putting your face on a magazine cover, a billboard, crazy sketch filters, artsy filters. The WB150F had more creative and fun art filters than I've ever seen on any digital camera to date. And now for the negatives. The interface was exceedingly sluggish and the battery life was kind of mediocre. But the big news in the feature department is the WB150F's Wi-Fi mode. Let me walk you through the Wi-Fi mode on the WB150F. So first we're going to choose social sharing. You have to enter your ID and password, your Facebook ID and password. And you have to do it using this 4-way directional pad, which is really kind of ancient and medieval. Okay, so once you finally have that entered, you can select through pictures and videos, check them off. You can see the interface is a bit sluggish on this thing too. And you can type in a comment if you want, and then you just send it right over. Now we're going to do something involving a Galaxy S2, which will interest a lot of Techno Buffalo viewers here. We're going to do Mobile Link. Connect to the WB150F. Okay, now it's connected. Okay. Now we can do Mobile Link. Here we go. And the two devices are communicating right now. So all of my images are showing up on the phone. So I can do basically the same thing as I did with Facebook, check them off, and then transfer them over. Alright, here we are. Wireless viewfinder. And look at that. So now the phone acts as a wireless viewfinder. This was my favorite feature, and you could use this without having to connect to a wireless network. By zooming in here, it's really sluggish though. And I can also take a picture with the phone, using the phone as a remote. And then the picture or video saves on the phone and the camera. And now for image quality. I usually don't get a chance to be hard on a camera in this department, but this is one of those rare occasions where I'm going to have to do that. The Samsung WB150F exhibited a performance that was tantamount to something like a Galaxy S2. I discovered a lot of issues. First of all, there was the ghosting and the flaring, and that was attributed to the Schneider lens. Unfortunately, a lot of these images are going to look hazy, and around the edges they're going to look soft. In addition, anything past ISO 200 is going to get really noisy. The small sensor just can't handle all of the 14 megapixels. This carried over to video mode as well, which has a max resolution of 720p 30 frames per second. In video mode, I found a lot of compression, a lot of jagged edges along lines, and just an overall lack of color depth. So overall, what I got from the WB150F was a very basic point-and-shoot performance on par with a Samsung Galaxy S2. So now it's time for my Buffalo call with the Samsung WB150F. Yes, it's cheap. Yes, it is stocked full of controls, and it has an 18x optical zoom. It also has that snazzy matte black finish. But is that enough to make you put down your Galaxy S2? For me, it really wasn't. The image quality alone on the WB150F was just not worth it. Unless you're taking super close-up macro shots or you're just using a bunch of creative filters to put on Facebook, this camera cannot be taken as a serious contender when compared to the competition from Panasonic and Canon. Furthermore, I really didn't see any need for the Wi-Fi functionality on this camera, other than the wireless viewfinder, which is pretty fun, and that was just about it. Yes, it's nice to have Wi-Fi features on a point-and-shoot, but the interface needs to be severely revamped. For the full Samsung WB150F review, be sure to go to technobuffalo.com. Until next time, I'm Mike Perlman. Boy, boy, crazy boy, stay cool, boy. Got a rocket in your pocket. Do, 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 do.